The energy in Miss Worthington's third-grade classroom was palpable. It was Career Week at Prescott Elementary, an event that turned ordinary days into vibrant showcases of parental professions. Jallen Brooks could hardly contain his excitement as he shifted in his seat, his heart pounding with anticipation. Today was the day his dad, a real aerospace engineer working at NASA, was set to come and speak. He'd been practicing his presentation for days, eagerly anticipating the moment he could share with his classmates the unique legacy of his father. But when it was Jallen's turn to speak, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. He took a deep breath, sat up tall, and declared in his earnest young voice, "My dad works at NASA." The moment hung in the air, thick with disbelief. Some of his classmates snickered, and when Mr. Denton, their teacher, laughed dismissively, Jallen felt as though the ground had fallen out from beneath him. "NASA, huh?" Mr. Denton chuckled, raising an eyebrow as if Jallen had claimed his father was an astronaut. "That's quite the imagination, Jallen. Maybe next time, aim for something more realistic." The laughter that followed was like a punch to Jallen's gut. How could Mr. Denton not believe him? The lunch bell rang a short while later, but Jallen sat hunched over, his sandwich untouched beside him. Each bite he took became heavier, just like the weight of embarrassment that clung to him. Lila leaned over, her voice soft and sincere. "I believe you, Jallen," she whispered, offering him a small smile that was meant to comfort. But Jallen just nodded, dejectedly returning to his meal as he replayed Mr. Denton's words in his mind. He had practiced so hard for today, but now he felt like he had to shrink away from the world. At home that evening, the warmth of family filled the house. Jallen watched as his dad, Dr. Kelvin Brooks, worked on a complex mechanism spread out on the dining room table. There was a gleam in his dad's eyes as he explained portions of his job to someone who was interested. A lot of people don't realize how much we depend on communication satellites to manage everything from weather forecasts to space missions, Dr. Brooks was saying. Jallen's heart swelled with pride watching him talk. His father was more than just a mechanic. He was a builder of human connection, a part of significant innovations. "Dad," Jallen ventured hesitantly, "we had career presentations today." "Oh yeah? How did it go?" His dad turned from his work, attention perched on Jallen's every word. Jallen hesitated, scrunching his face. "I said Dr. Brooks arrived wearing a navy blue blazer, his NASA badge proudly clipped under the lapel, and Jallen felt his heart race again. This time, he stood taller, recognizing that nothing could take away the truth of who his father was. As his dad walked into the classroom, Jallen could see his classmates' expressions shift from curiosity to awe. "Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Brooks," he began confidently, grabbing their attention immediately. He effortlessly filled the space with stories about his work, designing communication systems for spacecraft destined for Mars. His words painted a vivid picture, giving life to complex ideas about satellites and rockets, akin to magic in the eyes of the children listening. As his father's presentation unfolded, Jallen watched as skeptical faces transformed into intrigue. When Dr. Brooks explained that the time delay for signals from Mars could take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes depending on the planet's positions, Jallen stood at the edge of his seat, practically bursting with pride. "It's just like texting someone with really bad service," one kid exclaimed, and laughter broke out. Jallen's face flushed, but it was followed quickly by a wide grin as his father responded with a twinkle in his eye. "Exactly. And just like with bad Wi-Fi, sometimes we just have to be patient and wait." As he continued to share tales of his work, showing pictures of rockets and solar panels, Jallen felt a swell of belonging. Realizing his dad's work was indeed extraordinary, he spun around to see how Mr. Denton was reacting. For once, the teacher stood quiet and rapt, caught up in the spell of Dr. Brooks' storytelling, the very disbelief Jallen had faced slipping away like sand through fingers. Then, something unexpected happened. At the end of the presentation, Dr. Brooks turned to Jallen, giving him a nod that conveyed both love and admiration. and my son believes in this work too. Jallen wanted me to come here today because he's proud of his dad's job. I want all of you to know that everyone's story is important, whether they're an engineer at NASA or fixing bikes in the garage. If you have passion for what you do, it can't be considered ordinary. For the first time that day, Jallen felt a new energy in the room. The sincere listening from his classmates transformed into encouragement instead of ridicule. He could see it in their eyes, the respect and fascination that replaced doubt. When the final bell rang, Jallen burst out of the classroom, Lila running beside him. "You were amazing, Jallie. Did you hear how everyone was cheering for your dad? It was awesome." "Yeah, I guess so," he laughed, still riding the high of his father's success. Mila ran up beside them, excitement in her voice. "Why didn't you tell us your dad was a NASA engineer? That's so cool." "I didn't think they'd believe me," Jallen admitted, his cheeks heating. "Well, it looks like they do now. Everyone talks about how they want to be astronauts or scientists after listening to him," Mila said, clearly thrilled. As they walked out to the playground, the chatter buzzed with ideas of exploring space and becoming astronauts. Jallen felt liberated. He had shared part of his world, and for the first time, it felt like it mattered. Days turned into weeks, and the joy from the Career Week presentation rippled outwards, changing the dynamics of Jallen's school life. His newfound confidence translated into his interactions with peers. He began sharing stories, not just about his father, but about his own dreams, what he wanted to explore, things he wanted to create. During recess, he often found himself huddled with a group of classmates, building makeshift rockets from scraps found in the art room. Those moments morphed from play into small projects fueled by imagination, with Jallen as the chosen leader, guiding them through his concepts with fervor and excitement. As spring approached and the weather warmed, Jallen's confidence continued to blossom, much like the flowers that began to peek from the earth after winter. He realized he wasn't just a bystander in his own story. He was the author, painting the vibrant scenes of his life with words and creativity. One afternoon after school, Jallen returned home to a messy living room filled with tools, magazines, and models of rockets sprawled across the coffee table. "It looks like a NASA workshop exploded in here," Jallen called out playfully. His dad laughed. "Hardly. I'm working on a new project that needs to be ready for a presentation at the community's science fair. I want to show the kids how to use simple materials to simulate what we do at NASA." "I want to help," Jallen exclaimed, racing to the table. "What are we building?" "This one here," Dr. Brooks pointed to a model of a rocket, "is going to demonstrate how engines work. Want to help me assemble it?" "Yes, let's do it." In that moment of collaboration, Jallen felt the joy radiate within him. As the afternoon turned into evening, they laughed and built a functional model rocket powered by baking soda and vinegar. Finally, when it was time to test the rocket, they took it outside. Jallen's heart raced as they set it upon a makeshift launch pad, an old plastic bottle half buried in the grass. When Dr. Brooks gave the countdown, Jallen yelled the numbers aloud, anticipation bubbling over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff! With a fizz and a pop, the rocket shot up into the sky, shooting sparkling trails behind it. The exhilaration in Jallen's laughter blended with the applause from a neighbor who had watched in awe. The joy of that moment bonded them instantly and deepened Jallen's understanding of teamwork. By the time summer arrived, the community science fair came around, and Jallen joined his father in setting up their exhibit. They showcased their model rocket alongside other projects that his classmates had put together. Jallen's pride swelled when it was time for the children to visit their booth. "Is that your dad? He's the one who works at NASA?" asked a classmate, pointing toward Dr. Brooks. Jallen felt a rush of warmth flow through him. "He's not just working there. He helps make sure we can talk to Mars." The awe in his classmates' eyes mirrored the respect he'd learned to have for himself. His father's work was extraordinary, and it was now accepted universally. After endless questions about rockets and what it took to design them, Jallen explained the principles they'd used in their model, answering every question with pride. As the sun began to cast a golden hue over the fair and awards were honored, Jallen was surprised to hear the principal announce their project as one of the favorites of the day. The applause rang around him, and he felt that familiar warmth blossom in his chest. When the ceremony ended, Jallen and his dad returned home, where his mother greeted them with open arms. "I'm so proud of both of you," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with affection. "Did you hear? We won!" Jallen beamed. Dr. Brooks tousled the boy's hair lovingly. "You did brilliantly, Jallen. You took ownership not just of our project, but of your story too. I actually believe you inspired a lot of kids today." That night, Jallen lay awake and thought about how much had changed within him since that moment in Ms. Worthington's classroom. No longer tethered by doubt, he felt lighter, like he was developing into the person he was meant to be. He could feel the truth of who he was and where he came from, shining brightly inside him. In the coming months, Jallen continued to explore science, tackle new challenges, and expand his understanding of complex ideas that he once thought he could never grasp. He took pride not only in his father's achievements, but in his own evolving story. They worked together on weekends, creating projects that caught the attention of other kids in the neighborhood. His dad shared his passion for engineering, encouraging Jallen to remain curious and bold, teaching him that pursuing answers was just as important as the answers themselves. By the time school resumed in the fall, Jallen felt a new wave of excitement. Armed with confidence and self-awareness, he was ready for whatever challenges came his way. When Miss Worthington welcomed her students back to class, Jallen took his seat that morning, sensing a shift within him. He was no longer just that quiet boy who had been embarrassed, but someone full of dreams and possibilities. As the weeks passed, he continued to thrive, taking on science fairs and participating in clubs that focused on engineering and robotics. Jallen's life began to feel as vibrant and bright as the weekend trips he took with his dad to local science museums and events. They bonded over discoveries and relished in moments spent building projects, ultimately deepening their connection. Through the ups and downs of growing up, through the moments shadowed with doubt, and the moments illuminated by triumph, Jallen learned that believing in himself was an adventure worth embarking upon. One sunny afternoon, as he worked on a new project in the garage with his dad, Jallen turned to him, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "Dad?" "Yeah, buddy. What's on your mind?" "Do you think I could ever work at NASA one day?" Dr. Brooks paused, a smile creeping onto his lips as he replied, "I have no doubt about it. Just remember all the things we talked about. The importance of curiosity, hard work, and belief in yourself. If you hold on to those, you can reach for the stars." As they resumed working, Jallen's heart filled with hope. He would chase his dreams no matter how out of reach they might feel. He understood clearly now that it wasn't just his father's journey he was following, it was his own. With each new day, Jallen was growing more into the person he was destined to become. A boy no longer defined by the laughter of others, but by the truth he held inside and the excitement of the adventures that lay ahead. In that moment, he knew he was ready to write his own story, one passage at a time, illuminated by the lights of curiosity and the steady hands of a father who believed in him. They were going to reach Mars one day, both of them together.